Hi everyone, welcome back to Crochet Rocks, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make this puff stitch mile a minute. Now this particular one that you're looking at is a scarf for a 5-year-old. So I'm going to do a separate tutorial for that because otherwise you might not get to see the stitch if you didn't want to make a scarf for a 5-year-old. So I'm going to do how to do the puff stitch mile a minute in this tutorial, and then I'll do a separate tutorial for the scarf. But I like to make my puff stitches quite puffy, quite meaty, and I've not seen anyone join it this way. I have seen other joins. It's not to say that there aren't, but I haven't seen them. So just let me tell you what yarn I've used. I'm using a DK weight, which is a 3-weight yarn, and the yarn that I've used for this project were Signet, I don't know if that's Pato or Pato, but Signet Pato. This was an everyday DK and this was a baby DK, but they feel identical. There's nothing to tell them apart at all. If you're interested in this yarn, the shade is 985 and it's called Mauve, and this one is 782 Lilac. They go really nicely together and are perfect for a little girl's scarf. Well, actually perfect for anything because they're lovely and soft. You could use them for a baby, you could use them for adults, you could use them for anything you want because they are really, really nice yarns. So I'm using a 5mm crochet hook, a dardy needle and the usual pair of scissors. So I'm going to clear all this bits and pieces away and come back and show you how to do this. But in the meantime, if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell and you'll be informed when the new videos pop up. So just bear with me for a second while I get this all cleared away. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is make a slip knot, and you can do that however you normally would make your slip knots. I usually do mine like that. So we need to make a total of 8 chain, and we need to make it quite loosely. So that not really baggy, but just not tight. So that's nice and simple. Okay. So on all my other mile a minutes, you'll notice that if you've watched them, I use 7 chain, but this one I'm going to use 8 for a reason. But we need to count back from this end, from the tail end. 1, 2, 3. We're going to go into the 4th one, and we're going to yarn over, go into that chain, yarn over and pull up a loop, but we're going to elongate it. We're going to yarn over, go back in and pull up a loop again and elongate it. The first one's always the hardest to do that with because you're pulling against a chain, but we're going to do that a total of 5 times, and I know that's quite a lot, but I like to make mine quite puffy. So that's 2, 3, 4, see it gets a little tighter, 5. Now that gives us a fair amount of loops on our hook. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's a lot of hooks, loops, not hooks. We've only got the 1 hook, a lot of loops. And we're going to yarn over and we're going to pull through all of those, and we're going to make 2 chain. And then we're just going to go in that same space again and do exactly the same thing all over again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And yarn over, pull through all of them, and this time 1 chain. And now in our very first chain next to our tail, we're going to do a UK treble crochet, which is a US double. So that's yarn over into that chain, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So it looks a little like that right now. And now we're going to chain 2 and we're going to turn our work. We're going to be working vertically rather than in a horizontal way. So this is our repeat now for every single row. We're going to yarn over and do our first puff stitch with 5 loops, 5 times that we go in, giving us 11 loops. But I'm sure you know what I mean. Yarn over, pull through all of those loops, chain 2 because we're making the space in between our puff stitches. Yarn over, again, go back in and do the other side. That's our 5th time. Yarn over, pull through all of them, 1 chain. Now we need to go in to the chain that you can see right next to our puff stitch there. Now we're making our puffs and our posts. So we've got posts either end, in between we have our puff stitch shells, for want of a better word. We're just going to keep doing that. And 2 chain between them, remember. And there's our last one. 1 chain, and then into the chain next to our puff stitch. So you can see it's starting to make this little ladder of puff stitches. Now for my project that I made, the scarf for instance, I had 62 of these. So really all you need to do is whatever you're making, just keep going with this until you've reached the desired length. Now with that scarf, I also put tassels on the end of it. So just bear in mind the overall length of your project, what you're going to make at the end, whether you're going to do a dangly border or whether you're making a blanket and you're just doing a neat border. So take that into consideration and do however many of these little segments as you like. So just keep going with this. 2 chain, turn our work, and then our 2 puff stitches going in 5 times, giving us 11 loops on the hook. I keep wanting to say hooks on the loop, I won't. Then 2 in between, pull it over if you need to, do another one. It's easy to get your hook through. If you pull them up high enough, you will get it in. And then our last stitch. And that's what it's looking like. And as it works on, it does pull out a little bit, but that's fine. So just keep going until you've reached your desired length. Now I'm going to do a few more, I'd say another 4, so it will give us 8 altogether. And then I'm going to pause it, do those 4, and I'll come back to you and show you what we do next. Okay, so I have a small swatch. I'm not going to make a really long one. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You want an even number. That way the front is always the front. Not that this really looks much different from the back. So we're going to end off and we're going to yarn over and pull up a chain, cinch it right down and pull it out, and that ends off nicely. Now should you want to, you can sew your ends in now, which might be easier when you're going on to the next stages. So what I want you to do for the purposes of this swatch, I'm just going to make another one that's identical. So if you're making your lengths longer, then I need you to make as many of those lengths as you need to complete your project before you go on to the next stage. But for this purposes of this tutorial, I'm just going to make another one of these exactly the same with 8 segments. So I'm going to pause it while I do that, and from your point of view, you will need to make up however many lengths you need for your project. Okay, so here we are. I've got my 2 identical strips, and I'm going to bring in my next colour yarn. And so this is going to be where the corners are, and this will be the side. So I'm going to start here on this one next to the corner. And so I'm going to bring in my new colour, and look at that, it's a hair. That just goes to show that, like everybody else, I crochet in a part of myself to just about everything, even though my hair's in a ponytail. It's a special skill. Now normally I don't join my yarn like this, but I'm going to this time because, well, I feel like it for a start, and it just ties it in nicely, and I don't really want my join to be too bulky. So I'm going to insert my hook and bring that yarn through, and I'm just going to make one chain only because I don't really want a post getting in the way, and this works up quite nicely anyway. So I'm going to do a puff stitch, just one in this space. So I'm going to do my 5. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to pull through all, and I'm going to do one chain, and then I'm going to go straight into the next one, which is here, and do that again. Now you can work over your tail if you want to. You can, if you prefer to sew them in like I just did, but I'm going to work over this one and see if it works out okay. If not, you can easily pull it out. There we go. One chain, and do another one in the next space. It's in these posts that you've made at the end that you're doing that. Nice and easy. Nothing we haven't already done, but we're just putting one in instead of our doubles, and one chain in the middle, and that's how it's looking. Just like that, and we're nearly at the end, so I'll show you what we do when we get to our corner. And we're almost there. This is our last single. If I've gone ahead of you, just pause it and catch up with me. Okay, so now we're at our corner, and there we are. You can see there's going to be the corner. There's the bit in the middle where we join. You know, first of all, we did our very first puff, and there's the other corner. So in here, we're going to do a double, just as before. I need to pull some yarn out. I'll do that in a sec. Whoop. Perhaps I'll do it now. It's getting a bit tight. Just bear with me a second. If you need a stash busting project, then this is the one. It's not a yarn eater as such, but it will go through your stash quite nicely. And pull through all of them. And 2 chain, because we're at the corner. Pull it over slightly if you have to, and do the next one in there. And after this one, we're just going to do the 1 chain, and then in the center of our segment there, we're going to do 1. With 1 chain, and then we're going to complete another corner in here. Two chain at our corner, and then another one. I have pulled out enough yarn, I think. One chain. Now it does feel rather tight, but it will pull out. if you're a very tight crocheter and it doesn't pull out, you can always put an extra chain in the corner, but they will pull out. So I'm going to carry on all the way to this corner, doing one in each of our posts, the corresponding side to this one. So we're just going to do one all the way along here. I'll pause it and I'll catch up with you when we get back to our corner again. Okay, so we're back at our end. So we've got the corner in between and this corner to do. Just the same as the previous one. We're going to do, I think that was 4. Let me count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, you can always tell you need to have the 11 on your hook. That's always a good way to tell. And we're going to just pull that over slightly and do another one in this corner. And then one in that part between our two. And our last corner. Two chain between. One chain. And this is where I said to you before, you didn't want this one chain to clutter up your design. And this elongated V at the top here is where we're going to slip stitch into. Just, that's the top of our stitch. So we're going to slip stitch into there, and we're going to break off our yarn. And again, just like before, one chain, cinch it down and pull it through. So now we've got one side complete. And it's kind of pulling, but it will pull out once you start putting them together, and that's what it looks like. So we're going to get the next one, and again we're going to not start at the corner, we're going to start here in the next one along. So we're going to join that in exactly the same way. Just I'm going to tie it off because I don't want a bulky join, as I said before, and pull out my hook in and pull up a loop, one chain, and then I'm just going to do my puff stitches all the way along this edge. Just a second. Sorry, I had a wasp come in. I opened the window and the wasp came in, and you know, you think they'd all be gone by now, but as it's cold outside, he decided he wanted to come in. A wasp, really? Anyway, so we're just going to do one in each along here, and what I want to do, I'm going to pause it, but I want you to go all the way along and do a corner here, and then one in this end, and then stop, and I will come back and show you what to do next. Okay, so here we are at the corner. So our first half of this corner is going to be exactly the same. Okay, and we're going to chain 2. Now we're going to grab the completed one, and we're going to look a bit, we want it to be the same way up, which I believe we are. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the corner that corresponds, we're going to insert our hook, we're going to yarn over and pull through and pull through. So we've joined it. Actually, I've done that slightly wrong. I'm going to do one chain. I'm slightly wrong there, I do apologise, but go back. So it's one chain between our corner. We're going to insert our hook, yarn over, pull up and complete that. with a slip stitch. We're going to do one more chain, and we're going to do the other half of our corner exactly as before. So we're joining as we go. Pull it through, one chain. So now, if it helps to lay them side by side, don't want to lose my stitch, you can work like this. It's difficult when you're on camera to work like this. So what we need to do now, we've been into the corner. I'll zoom in if I can, there you are. So we've joined at this corner, and we've done our first puff along this. We've finished that. We're going to join to, we've done our second part of the corner, that's what I'm trying to say. Insert the hook, yarn over and pull it through and make a slip stitch. And now we're going to go into the next piece on our side. It's really difficult to work like this, but I'll try my best. Oh, I'm very zoomed, aren't I? We're not going off camera. Pull it through, just as before. It's really hard because I'm not holding it right. And do our chain. Go back and look for our next one. We've joined here already. We're going to go through into there, pull up our yarn, join it with a slip stitch, and then go into our next segment. So that's what we're doing. We're going all the way along. We're making our, we can hold it like this if we want to. We're going into the next one and making our puff stitch. Just as normal. A bit tight now. Do our chain, and then we can find our next one to join. Obviously don't get the hook in the way. In there, yarn over and pull it through and slip stitch to the loop that's on the hook, and then we're going to go into the next one. I'm going to unzoom just in case it's making me go off camera when I'm doing this. I'm going to pick it up again now because it's hard to do those laying down. 1, 5. Okay, pull them through. If it helps to just lay it flat to see where you've got to go into next. When you're holding it yourself, it's quite easy to see. We're going to put our hook in, yarn over, pull it through, complete the slip stitch, and do our next one. Hold it if you want to hold it up. This is what I meant when I said it will pull it out. When you're working, it does pull it out, so it makes it work out. So you've been into this one, we're going into that one next. Going to yarn over, pull it through, complete our slip stitch, and then with this one go into our next one. It looks harder than it is. Once you get in the swing, honestly, it's really simple. And you'll be holding it the way you like to hold it, not sticking it in front of a camera like I am. Okay, so then we've been into this one, we need to go into that one. Okay, complete the slip stitch, and we're more or less at the end. Got a yarn catching on my fingernail. Isn't that really annoying when that happens? Okay, so this is where we hope and pray it works out. A couple of times I've done miler minutes in the past and I've got all the way to the end and I've got the wrong amount of segments, but of course I've done 8, so it's got to work out, hasn't it? So with this is the corner again now. We're back at the corner, so we're going to do our first half of our corner. I'm going to pull through and we're going to do one chain, which is where I went wrong before. Now this is our corner. We're going to insert the hook, pull up the loop and complete the slip stitch, do a chain, and we're going to finish our corner. And then we're going to do one in this end. And we're going to do our corner. Two chain. And the last bit of our corner. One chain, and then we're looking for the elongated V that you can see there. I'm going to slip stitch into that elongated V. I'm going to cut our yarn and end off like with the chain, cinch it down and pull it through. So now we just need to like tease it into shape. And see what I mean about this edge? It's now lovely and flat. It's been pulled out, that's fine. So as we go around, this will pull out with all of the other rows that we're doing. If not, with our border. So that's how we do the puff stitch mile a minute. I hope you like that. It's pretty cool, isn't it? I like it a lot. I think I'm going to be making quite a few things with that. So this is as wide really as I made my swatch, well my scarf should I say, that I've shown you. So I really don't have anything else that's made to show you. But that's how I've done it. You can make as many of these strips as you need, so it becomes as wide as you need and as long as you need. So I hope you've enjoyed that. You can also substitute it for 4-weight yarn, 5-weight yarn, anything you want, as long as you use the corresponding crochet hook size. And I always recommend going up a size hook. So I would normally use a 4.5 with my DK weight yarn, my 3-weight, but I've used a 5 because I wanted those puff stitches to be nice and chunky. So if you're using your usual weight yarn and your usual hook, I just go up a hook size and you'll get better results. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you. Bye bye for now.